Thank you for inviting NIDILRR to take part in this Convergence Accelerator workshop. For those of you who don't know, NIDILRR is the National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research. We're situated in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Administration for Community Living. My name is Phil Beatty, and I'm the Research Director at NIDILRR. Tom Korfman manages NIDILRR's Rehabilitation Engineering Research Center program, and he took the lead on pulling these brief remarks together. As I get started, I'll just note that the title and the topic of this workshop, Living Better Through Rehabilitative and Assistive Technologies, is really broad, and it captures a great deal of NIDILRR's technology R&D portfolio. So we're happy to be here to give you a little bit of information about R&D that we're sponsoring and the advances that we're all headed towards. First of all, let me share a little bit of information about our view of disability. Our view comes from our authorizing legislation, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This civil rights law for people with disabilities states that disability is a natural part of the human experience and in no way diminishes the right of individuals to live independently, enjoy self-determination, make choices, contribute to society, pursue meaningful careers, and enjoy full inclusion and integration in the mainstream of American society. And this view of disability guides all of NIDILRR's work. NIDILRR's emphasis is on the major outcome domains of community living, health and function, and employment. All of the R&D that we sponsor is toward outcomes in these areas of life that are important to all of us, whether we currently experience disability or not. Across NIDILRR's portfolio, the central focus is on the whole person with a disability, whose ability to function and whose quality of life are dependent on the complex interactions among personal, societal, and environmental factors. Our mission is to generate new knowledge and to promote its use to improve the abilities of individuals with disabilities to perform activities of their choice in the community, and to expand society's capacity to provide full opportunities and accommodations for its citizens with disabilities. NIDILRR plays a unique role in that its target population includes all disability types and all age groups. Other federal research entities fund research toward prevention or cure of disability, but that is not our role. NIDILRR sponsors applied R&D that includes medical rehabilitation research, as well as research toward services, supports, interventions, and products that maximize long-term outcomes for those living in the community with long-term disabilities. NIDILRR recognizes and sponsors research and development in 4 technology domains that include rehabilitation, assistive, service, and system technologies. Rehabilitation technologies address health and functional problems of people with disabilities by restoring function, maintaining function, or slowing the decline of function. Assistive technologies address activity and participation difficulties encountered by people with disability by augmenting, compensating for the loss of, or restoring function to improve performance. Service technologies facilitate the provision of rehabilitation, assistive technology, training, and other mediated interventions for people with disability. And systems technologies provide improved access to and usability of critical infrastructures used by people with disability and others in the general population. These include information and communication technology, the built environment, public transportation, and healthcare infrastructures, among others. Please look into our long-range plan for further discussion of these types of technologies that are important to people with disabilities. R&D toward technology accounts for about 1/3 of NIDILRR's portfolio. We fund technology R&D through multiple grant mechanisms, but we want to point you in the direction of 3 types of grants in particular that investigators use to pursue technology through research and development. First is our Rehabilitation Engineering Research Centers. This program funds advanced engineering research and development toward innovative technologies to solve rehabilitation problems or remove environmental barriers for people with disabilities. Field-initiated projects are a program of investigator-initiated research intended to supplement NIDILRR's agency-directed research portfolio. These projects cross all of NIDILRR's domains and target populations and generate new knowledge through research or development. Our Small Business Innovation Research Program supports development of new ideas and projects useful to people with disabilities by making grants to small business firms with strong research capabilities. NIDILRR rarely publishes prescriptive funding opportunities with these or any of our mechanisms. We supply the broad topic area that we have found to be in need of greater attention, and the applicant identifies specific needs in the topic area and proposes research and development projects that will help to meet those needs. So broadly speaking, we sponsor R&D toward technologies that maximize functional abilities among people with disabilities and technologies that support community living and facilitate access to the social and built environments. We sponsor work in functional areas such as mobility and manipulation, communications, hearing, vision, and cognition. Our technology portfolio includes robotics and automation technologies, virtual reality, telerehabilitation, recreational technology, health-related products and equipment, and cognitive, sensory, and communication aids. NIDILRR grantees were at the forefront of developing and applying the principles of universal design. They do research and development toward design and modification of the built environment. They focus on the accessibility, safety, and affordability and independent use of transportation options, including public transportation, commercial transportation, or personal vehicles. Finally, NIDILRR grantees focus on information and communication technology to make sure that those technologies are accessible and usable, configurable to personal requirements, and available across a broad range of tasks and contexts. So in recent years, NIDILRR has seen a greater number of grantees proposing and conducting R&D toward technologies that include robotics, controls and sensor technology, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and wearable technologies. So what's missing? Where are the gaps? A great deal of engineering R&D does not take disability into account upfront, and that is one of the biggest gaps from NIDILRR's perspective. Accessibility for and usability by people with disabilities are often afterthoughts or retrofit projects. For just a moment, I want to touch on the theme of universal design. NIDILRR grantees have historically been and continue to be at the forefront of developing and advancing the principles of universal design. Universal design is the design of products and environments to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible, without the need for adaptation or specialized design. Our grantees have since translated and evolved those universal design principles into the goals of universal design. These goals clarify meaningful outcomes for products in real-world practice and tie those outcome goals to existing knowledge bases. Our Rehabilitation Engineering Research Center on Physical Access and Transportation at SUNY Buffalo is an outstanding resource in this important area. In continuing to promote universal design, we understand and realize that there is a need for customization, of course. However, to the greatest extent possible, the principles and goals of universal design should be emphasized in R&D toward new rehabilitation technologies, assistive technologies, service technologies, and system technologies. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about uptake, commercialization, and use of technologies by people with disabilities. In the realm of technology R&D, the valley of death is the metaphor that's often used to describe the gap between academic-based R&D technology innovations and their commercial application in the marketplace. This valley of death, it's vast in the area of technologies that are designed for use by people with disabilities. NIDILRR has long sponsored a strong technology transfer center to guide researchers and developers across this valley. Please look into the NIDILRR-funded Impact Center at the University of Pittsburgh for our current effort in this important area. The main point is this pursuit is absolutely not an academic exercise. All of us must really promote use among people with disabilities and realize that this, again, is not an academic exercise. So just as we begin to wrap up here, I just wanted to share with you some advances and capabilities that are emerging from our portfolio. I'll say that rapidly advancing computing capacities obviously have brought all of these advances to the forefront of R&D toward technologies for use by people with disabilities. And these advances are rapid prototyping, 3D printing, and flexible manufacturing, artificial intelligence and machine learning, autonomous or semi-autonomous devices, autonomous vehicles, and telecommunication technologies. Now, just a quick note about rehabilitation engineering in general. As funders and practitioners of R&D toward technologies for people with disabilities, we all have a responsibility to build capacity in the field to engage in this important work. Here, I'll just make the obvious point that rehabilitation engineering is central to this overall effort, but there is no agreed upon list of competencies for rehabilitation engineers and no rehabilitation engineering degree available. Much more thought should be placed into the systematic development and promotion of this critical credential and skill set. As we wrap up now, please refer to this relatively recent article that's on the screen now for an overview of NIDILRR's Rehabilitation Engineering Research Center history and future considerations. And finally, at the bottom of this page, we point you in the direction of NIDILRR's program directory, where you can explore all of the work that we've sponsored over the years toward the future that we're considering as part of this workshop. So thank you again for including NIDILRR's perspective as part of this important workshop. We look forward to speaking with you during the brainstorming sessions. Thank you very much.